Today we're going to talk about some pretty lofty concepts, which get me super excited because I love this stuff. Hopefully you will too. And just bear with me because I'm going to give you some analogies and stuff to get going. But we're basically going to talk about how the Torah, learning Torah, is the loftiest, best mitzvah that you can do. And we're going to explain why qualitatively it achieves the most. So just to backtrack for a second, don't forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe, send it to all your friends because you probably have a few who haven't seen this. Get them started in episode 1 so that they have some concept or understanding. Okay, we talked about the garments, the mitzvahs being the garments. Your thought, speech, and action are the garments of your soul. It's how you dress your soul. Your soul gets to look better than it would naked by dressing itself in the will and wisdom of God by doing mitzvahs. Every time you do a mitzvah, a positive commandment, you are dressing your soul and elevating it. So now your soul looks like $1 million. Back when $1 million was a lot of money. I mean, I would still take $1 million, but whatever. Anyway, I'm sure Itai is going to have a good graphic for that above. But what is Torah then? If the mitzvahs give you garments, what does Torah do? What does Torah study do? We said before that Hashem, God, condensed his wisdom into the Torah in order to give us a way to know how to perform mitzvahs so that we can have these garments and elevate our souls. So if the Torah is Hashem's wisdom and we learn it, then that's a mitzvah that we're doing with our thought and speech. If you say over the Torah, that's why some people are very particular whenever they're learning Torah, even if someone else is reading, to not just follow along, but to say the words with their mouth, because then they are not only understanding Torah, but then they are also speaking words of Torah, so you can kind of hit it on multiple levels. But there's no action of learning Torah besides for thinking and comprehending it and speaking it. So what is the master benefit that makes Torah qualitatively the greatest mitzvah of all? If your thoughts and speech are your garments that dress your soul, why is Torah called the food of your soul? The food that your soul eats, just like food that you physically eat becomes a part of your body digests it, and all of the nutrients go where they need to go and the waste goes away. But the food of your soul actually becomes a part of your soul, right? So that has to be way loftier than just clothes that you wear. Because if you wear clothing, clothing can be put on and clothing can be taken off. But if you eat food, unless you're going to throw it up, which I don't really recommend, it becomes a part of you, right? That has a much loftier, more beneficial, more direct effect on you than your clothing, right? Because articles can come on and off. Food is digested and literally becomes a part of you, which is why they say you are what you eat. Literally, your body becomes what you eat. So you want to get strong and you eat proteins, or you want to get fat, no one does, and then you eat a bunch of carbs, yeah, that becomes a part of you. So let's understand how Torah becomes a part of you and acts as food for your soul. I'm going to give you an analogy here. I'm going to give you a little bit of example. There's nothing physical in the world that you can grasp that can grasp you at the same exact time in the same manner. I would say the closest thing you have to that is probably a hug. I hug you, you hug me, we're both hugging each other, right? We are a happy family. But if I grab onto an object, like let's say I have this bottle right here. I grab onto it. I'm grasping the bottle. The bottle is not grasping me. Even if I was immersed in water, I am being surrounded or grasped or immersed in the water, but I'm not grasping the water that's grasping me, right? It's impossible in this physical world to simultaneously grasp something and have it grasp you in the same level. Okay, there's no possible way, right? That's not how matter works. There's one thing in this world that allows us to grasp and be grasped at the same time. I said ed after grasp, grasped at the same time. And that is Torah study. And let me explain why. When you understand a concept, your mind is enveloping the concept. Now, the concept itself is like it's within your mind, which means you understand it. You can have a full comprehending of that concept. And at the same time, when it comes to Torah study, because Torah study is Hashem's will and his wisdom, and he and his wisdom are one, that is the only subject matter that you can grasp, because he lowered himself down to a level that you can understand, almost like teaching calculus to a 2-year-old, right? But a million times more than that, just to give you an example. While at the same time, because he and his wisdom are one, because Hashem, God, and the Torah are one, when you understand Torah, you are grasping Hashem. So let's just go back and simplify this for a minute. You understand a concept. If that concept is God, then you are grasping him. And when you grasp him, because it is him, he is grasping you. He's holding on to you the same way you're holding on to him. So it's like this loop that defies all rules of physics in this world, but because this is spiritual, it's not bound by that. Where at the same exact time, the Torah study that you understand and becomes a part of you is allowing you to grasp God. And because you are grasping God, and that's becoming food for your soul and a part of you, that means he is grasping you at the same time. Mind blown, right? That concept of understanding godliness in a way where you understand it simply because it is Hashem's will. Now, let's just break for a second. If you understood a halacha, a code of law, Torah and mitzvahs, Hashem's will, you understood what God wanted from you, but not because he wanted it from you. You understood it because it was common sense, like the law of the land, like don't steal from someone, right? If you just contemplate the law of don't steal from someone, because that's the law in the Constitution, that's not you grasping godliness. But when you learn Torah, and the Torah says, don't steal, now you're learning God's wisdom, because you're learning his rationale. Even for the concepts that don't make sense to us, you are learning halacha, commandments, which is the code of law, which is Hashem's understanding. That's his wisdom. So if you've ever learned Gemara, you know that there are differing opinions. Rav says something, Shmuel says another, right? And the Torah says that there's room for both of them. Now, sometimes we're talking about hypothetical things that will never happen, situations that literally will never happen. That doesn't really matter, because you're learning God's wisdom when you're doing that. It doesn't matter that's not practical. You're still binding your understanding to his wisdom. And when you do that, your brain surrounds the concept, because now it's within your brain to understand. And at the same time, your brain is being surrounded by godliness while you're doing that. So it's a superior, amazing phenomenon that can only happen with learning Torah. And when you internalize that, that becomes food for your soul, which is why when you learn Torah, it becomes easier to do mitzvahs, because you're using your intellectual faculties. And now the food for your soul allows you to want to dress your soul in the garments of the mitzvahs. So that wonderful combination of eating proper food for the soul food, let's call it, and then that becoming a part of you enables you to understand what's good for you. And just like we talked about in the last lesson about fear and love, you can use that intellectual pursuit of Torah to grasp God and have him grasp you. That becomes your food for your soul. And now, because your body is changed, you know what's good for you. You know you love God, and you know you don't want to disconnect from the source of all your spiritual life. That'll allow you to want to dress yourself in the garments of Torah and mitzvahs. All right? Let that simmer, and we will talk more. Let me know if you have any questions.